الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. All praise is due to Allah, and may Allah's peace and blessings be on our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We touched on the first half or first part of Surah Al-Qalam, the pen, and today inshallah we will finish the surah. We will have some reflection on the second half starting from ayah 34 up until the end, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started the surah. We discussed the details and the story of the people of Al-Jannah, of the garden or the farm, when they were not appreciative to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessing in them, and they were not giving people, the poor, their due and everything, and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ended up punishing them, how He ended up punishing them. The surah moves on to give the other side of the good people, adil. Adil, please close the door if you don't mind. Close this door, close it. And the other one as well. So Allah said, إِنَّ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ جَنَّاتِ النَّعِيمِ. Indeed, for al-muttaqun, the pious, those who are conscious of Allah with their Lord, they will have Jannat al-Na'im, the gardens of blessing. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the first half or the first part the story of those who they denied Allah or they denied the right of the poor Jew, they didn't follow the right way, what they ended up having, losing everything they had. On the other hand, He said the believers, the righteous, they will have this endless Jannatul Na'im, which does not come to an end, which does not, the existence is, is never ending. And the blessings of it and the joys and the pleasures of it never comes or never come to an end. Inna lil muttaqin, indeed for the muttaqun, because they deserve. Indeed for the muttaqun, it's for them because they deserve it. When you work hard for something and you achieve it and you get to it, you really feel some joy and pleasure, the pleasure of achievement in there. Versus if somebody gives you this same achievement without really much work, without much of an input that you put in there, it's not the same. You know what I'm talking about? If you work hard to succeed, to be in this college, versus someone else who used any other way other than working hard to be there, it's not the same feeling. So for the muttaqun, they worked hard, they obeyed Allah, they worked hard throughout this life, and now it's yours, you got it. Lil, all of that we get from the letter lam, lil muttaqin, for the muttaqun. And He didn't say inna lil muttaqina jannat, for the muttaqun there are jannat. No, He said for the muttaqun, indeed with their Lord, with their inda rabbihim. So it's with their Lord, how close they will be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they will feel this pleasure. You have a place with Allah, you have a status with Allah, you have Jannah close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, على سبيل التشريف والتكريم, in a way of honoring and dignifying them. Why this ayah was revealed, according to some scholars, the kuffar, the disbelievers of Mecca, they said to the Muslims, indeed Allah has favored us over you in this life. You see where we are, you see where you are, we're way better off. We are much better than you. And they use this analogy to put the argument that if we are better than you, we have money, we have status, we have everything, that means we're going to be better in the hereafter. You're telling us that you are better, you're going to be better than us in the hereafter. You see, now we are better than you, and the argument is we are going to be better than you in the hereafter. So at least we'll be equal, if not better than you. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala moves on to say, to answer this by saying, أَفَنَجْعَلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ كَالْمُجْرِمِينَ. Do you think that we are going to make Muslims like criminals? We are going to make them equal? So part of our faith as believers, we believe Allah is just. He is just. He did not create the world in, abath, jest, absurdity, that there is no purpose for that. He will make everybody equal. Everybody will die and there's no hereafter, for example. It doesn't make sense. We see things that need to be fixed in this life and they are never fixed. There is another life where Allah will make different people different in the in the destination. It can be like that. Allah says in the Quran in Surah Al-Mu'minun, أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا. Do you think that we created you just playing, no purpose, عَبَثًا, in absurdity, absurd, no purpose, no direction? Do you really think this is how it is? And he said in another ayah, أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانُ أَن يُتْرَكَ سُدًى. Does the human being think that he will be left in vain, no consequences, no, he will not be responsible for his actions? That would not happen. That's not really, it doesn't make sense. So people, when they disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they think they are getting benefits in here, they are enjoying life, they are doing something, but they are not really focusing on the consequences of that. They think it's, we unbelievers, we live the same life, but we enjoy it. We have all of these pleasures. I get more money from, every kind of thing. I do some disobedience to Allah, it gives me pleasure. So they really take out of this equation the hereafter. It's not there for them. For the believers, the equation, they don't look at one part of the equation. This chemistry equation in there, you see input, you see one side, and it gives you the results in there. So the people who do ma'asiyah, they just look at one side. Believers, they take all sides, both sides into consideration. What it gives me here in this life, what it gives me, and more importantly, how it gives me and how it will end up giving me in the hereafter. A believer would look at both sides. But sometimes a believer might be under the shaitan trying to delude him. He might ignore what he's going to get in the akhirah and look at himself in here. Do you see? I'm always being tested. Those people, bad people, they are enjoying things. Why is this happening? I'm good, Ya Allah. I'm good. I'm born Muslims, or I accepted Islam, or I read Quran, or I pray to you. Why me? They ignore the other half. Sometimes it might happen to us, but Allah said to remind us all, أَفَنَجْعَلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ كَالْمُجْرِمِينَ. Do you think we are going to make Muslims equal to criminals? It's not. They are not going to be equal if you look at the result of it. An entire dunya with all of its gains, whatever you acquire, whatever you achieve, whatever you get in here, according to some riwayah narration, that this dunya, in comparison to the akhirah, is just like what a needle, when you insert it to the ocean and take it up, it's just like how much did it take up from the ocean. One needle, if you put it into the ocean and take it back, it will take what, a drop or two, more or less. That's exactly the comparison of a dunya with al-akhirah. This entire life is just but a dream if you compare it to al-akhirah. So don't look at one side of the equation and ignore the rest. Allah said it's not going to be possible that we make them equal, Muslims and criminals. And then he said, مَا لَكُمْ كَيْفَ تَحْكُمُونَ. What is wrong with you? How do you judge things? Verse number 36. What is the translation there, Sister Rose? 36. مَا لَكُمْ كَيْفَ تَحْكُمُونَ. What is the matter with you? How do you look at things? How do you judge things? All right, no problem. Number 36. Al-Qalam, the pen. So look at it, and when you get to it, inshallah, maybe the next ayah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is blaming them now. Do you think we're going to make Muslims like criminals? He didn't say non-Muslims, like criminals. Anybody who did not accept Islam, he has made some kind of injustice to himself by not going the right way. Your soul deserves that guidance of God, light of God. The minute, Arwa, can you please ask the parents to take care of them and close the door? Thank you. So he said that Muslims are not going to be equal to those criminals who wrong themselves and got a lifetime to make the right choice and never make it. And he said in other ayah, أَفَمَنْ وَعَدْنَاهُ وَعْدًا حَسَنًا فهو لاقيه كمن متعناه متاع الحياة الدنيا ثم هو يوم القيامة من المحضرين. He said, is the one that we promised him, we give him a good promise, and he will see that promise in the hereafter. A believer will be equal would be like the person that we make him enjoy the pleasures of this life, of lower life of dunya, and then Yawm al-Qiyamah, Day of Judgment, he will be min al-muhdarin, he will be brought to justice. They are not equal. They are not equal. Talking about believers and disbelievers and what we face here and what we face in the hereafter, we read in the hadith of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, life, dunya is sijnul mu'min, like a prison for mu'min. You're really limited in what you can do and things like that. وَجَنَّةُ الْكَافِرِ, and for a disbeliever, it's like Jannah, it's like heaven for him. But somebody asked Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak, he was walking with his people, and then a non-Muslim person saw him, like that. And he asked him the question, your prophet said the dunya is like a prison for a mu'min and a heaven for the kafir. So he said, Abdullah ibn Mubarak was a believer, and he was kind of rich. He has everything, and he had a very nice clothes. This believer, this man was kind of a poor person. He is begging and everything. He said, how come you are in like a prison and I am in Jannah, in heaven? And then he gave him the answer. He said, what I enjoy as a Muslim now of a na'im, of these pleasures, if you compare it to the na'im, the pleasure of the akhirah, of what I'm going to take in the akhirah, is nothing. It's just like I'm in prison right now. Give me 1 second, please, to ask. So even if a Muslim is enjoying a lot of things here in life, if you really compare it to what this Muslim is going to take in the Jannah, he is in prison. He is not really enjoying anything. And if a disbeliever is even living the worst of life, if he compares it to the adab, the punishment that he will see in the akhirah, in the hereafter, he is here in Jannah, he is in heaven, because he's way better off than he will go. So it's, if you look at one side, if you judge things by the dunya only, you're not looking at it the right way. You have to take dunya and akhirah both into consideration. And it might happen, the opposite might happen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might test the disbelievers by giving them more and more. As he said in the Quran, فَلَمَّا نَسُوا مَا ذُكِّرُوا بِهِ, when they forgot what they have been reminded of, فَتَحْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ أَبْوَابَ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ, we open the doors of everything for them. We give them in abundance. حَتَّى إِذَا فَرِحُوا بِمَا أُوتُوا, until they are very boasting of what they got to the level of arrogance, and they just think of them, become very materialistic. أَخَذْنَاهُمْ بَغْتَةً, we seize them abruptly. فَإِذَا هُمْ مُبْلِسُونَ. So a believer should always feel proud of his faith. Nothing is equal to faith. The faith, the weight of faith that you got, if you really get it. And Allah said, وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا, never, feel low, never be sad. وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ, and you are always in the top, highest. إِن كُنْتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ, if you are believers. So as long as a person is with Allah, believing in Allah, regardless of the material status of that person, he is the best, he is the successful, he is the wise person, he is going and taking the right track. Why? Because inna lil muttaqina, for the pious with their Lord, there will be jannat and na'im, the blessings, the heavens of blessings, jannat and na'im. So if you look at a believer, even if materialistically in this life, if you look at this kind of diagram and the line is really going down, once he goes to the hereafter, it goes to the top. He's in the top. And if you look at the believer and this believer and you look at him in this dunya, even if he looks, he's achieving things and going up and everything, but he will fall down, he will plunge down when the akhirah comes, because Allah has different hisab, different reckoning parameters and standards to judge things. We judge things by so many, by money, by how smart the person is, degrees. That's not how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala judges things. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, you might see somebody very humble, dressing, you might not respect him for what he dresses, for how he dresses. مدفوع بالأبواب. If you see him at your door, you push him, go away from me. لو أقسم على الله لأبر. If that person swears on Allah to do something, Allah, out of how big of a status that person gets with Allah, if he swears on Allah to do something, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may just respond to him. And Imam al-Ghazali is giving us that kind of example. He said, status of Allah versus status of other people, which reflects faith. He said, if a physician prevents you from eating something that you like to eat, no doubt that you believe in him, you will stop eating that, even though you like it. Don't eat sweets, desserts, because it will hurt you in a status like this, in a case like this. Yes. So if you look deeply into that, why does the person stops eating what he likes? He likes it. He can eat dessert and things like that day and night. But now a person tells him, a physician tells him, don't eat it. He will stop right away, out of faith even if you don't really know how sugar is going to hurt you. I don't know the details of it, but out of your faith and trust in this physician, you stop eating it. He said, how come then you put your trust in a physician and you go by his command and order and you stop what he stops you from, out of thinking, trusting him and thinking that he is sadiq and everything, and then Allah prevents you from something, and he is Khaliq, the creator of the samawat wal ard, the sky, the earth and everything, and he commands you to do something, stops you from doing something, and he promises you that's going to happen to you if you do good, that's going to happen to you if you do bad, and then you do not go with him, or you do not trust him and have faith in him. In this case, if this is the case, you have more faith in a physician like you have with Allah, or in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's how it is. Many Muslims nowadays live the materialistic dimension of life. We really look at life, how much clothes I get, how much this, how much that. So in terms of pleasures, and not many of them are taking the hereafter into their hisab, into their account, into their consideration. We might mention al-akhirah or remember al-akhirah, but very little that we do, very little that we think about our status with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and hold ourselves accountable for anything that we do, for any step that we take, thinking of the day that يَوْمَ يَقُومُ النَّاسِ لِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ, the day that people will stand up, will be resurrected and be standing up in front of Allah, the Lord of the worlds. Here Allah says, indeed for the muttaqun, the pious, with the Lord there will be jannat, heavens of blessing. أَفَنَجْعَلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ كَالْمُجْرِمِينَ, shall we make Muslims like criminals? Allah said in other ayah, أَفَمَنْ كَانَ مُؤْمِنًا كَمَنْ كَانَ فَاسِقًا. Do you think that a believer will be equal to somebody who is just going loose? لا يستوون. They are not equal. They are not equal. This is the life and the reality of life. أَمْ لَكُمْ كِتَابٌ فِيهِ تَدْرُسُونَ. Allah said, how do you judge things? And then ayah number 37, أَمْ لَكُمْ كِتَابٌ فِيهِ تَدْرُسُونَ. Can you read 37 and 38 if you get to this? 37 and 38. Qalam. Okay, don't worry about it. خلاص. I will do it. أم لكم كتاب فيه تدرسون, or maybe you have a book that you study in it. Like Allah is blaming them. How do you think a believer will be like a non-believer? Where did you get this knowledge from? Do you have a book in it? You study, you see that, you read that. إن لكم فيه لما تخيرون, and then you are choosing the best of things, that your choice. He is asking another question in verse number 39. أَمْ لَكُمْ أَيْمَانٌ عَلَيْنَا بَالِغَةٌ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. Or maybe you got an oath from us, a strong oath from us up until the day of judgment. إِنَّ لَكُمْ لَمَا تَحْكُمُونَ. Like this is the case, that we're going to make them equal, or you have something from us to say that this is how things will be dealt with. سَلْهُمْ أَيُّهُمْ بِذَلِكَ زَعِيمٌ. Ask them, O Muhammad, who amongst them is saying that, or guaranteeing this to happen? أَمْ لَهُمْ شُرَكَاء. Allah is mocking them in all of these questions. Or maybe they have shuraka, they have partners, like with Allah, associates, other gods with Allah. فَلْيَأْتُوا بِشُرَكَائِهِمْ. Let them bring over their shuraka, those associates, the shuraka that they said to Allah, إِن كَانُوا صَادِقِينَ, if they are truly telling the truth. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking them almost like how many questions in here? Like 7 questions or so. Do you think that we're going to make Muslims like non-Muslims? How? How do you think? How do you judge things? And then he asked him another question. How do you judge things? Again, ما لكم كيف تحكمون. He asked them, أم لكم كتاب. Maybe do you have a book that you read this in, a scripture that you read this in? أم لكم أيمان. Or maybe you got some oath from God, confirmed oath from God. And then he said, who amongst you guarantees that or carries that? أم لهم شركاء. He said, do you have partners? So Allah asked them a lot of questions to refute anything that they could say, just a saying that they something that they thought of, an argument that comes to their mind. Like all of these arguments that become parts of even curriculum of students studying it in their curriculum of biology and science and what have you. That's not supported even by science itself, like Darwinism and the beginning of creation. And it's just a theory, an argument that doesn't have any observation, just an assumption that people evolved from monkeys or life comes just like that. All of these are assumption. But if you bring that to the very rules of science, observation, what's science? You put this into a test and you observe what happens, and then the systematic way it happens again and again and again. So that's a fact. That should be a fact. You never observe any monkey moving to a man or any other. You just assuming because of the peak of some birds, because of whatever, that this is there while it's not there. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, here's something similar, that He's telling the disbelievers, you are arguing against our Prophet who got all the miracles and got everything. You're arguing and you don't really have a valid ground for this argument. And then he said, يَوْمَ يُكْشَفُ عَنْ سَاقٍ. Everything will be clear. The day when Allah will uncover the literal translation, He will uncover His shin. وَيُدْعَوْنَ إِلَى السُّجُودِ. They will be called to prostrate, فَلَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ. But they will never be capable of doing it. Allah uncovering His shin, is it physical, or is it many scholars say that this is a term or a metaphor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses to, or in Arabic it's used to refer to something strong, something big is going to happen. Dalala ala shidda. So it's going to be a very horrific day, the day of judgment, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will, bring everything into to uncover everything. To a lot of great things will happen on that day. In the hadith, يَكْشِفُ رَبُّنَا عَنْ سَاقِهِ. The Lord will uncover His chin. فَيَسْجُدُ كُلُّ مُؤْمِنٍ. They will see like a light, and every believing men and women, they will prostrate themselves to Allah. And those who used to prostrate themselves in dunya for God out of showing off, they will not be able to make sujood. They will try to, but their back will be one piece, and not moving, not capable of, not elastic as it used to be. It would be just like one piece, as if it becomes all bone, all one piece of bone, that they will not be capable of doing that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said after that, وَقَدْ كَانُوا يُدْعَوْنَ إِلَى السُّجُودِ. They used to be called to make sujood to Allah, prostrate themselves to Allah while they were salimun. They were wholesome, they were okay, they were alive, they were healthy. They were called to do that, but they never did it. Now they can't do it. Only believers who did it, They will make sujood to Allah, which is an answer for the question who you are. Once they see Allah, they make sujood as the all of their lifetime they used to make sujood and prostrate themselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يوم يكشف عن ساق, from another hadith, عن نور عظيم, a great deal of light will appear to the believers, nur from Allah. يخرون له سجدا. Seeing that, they will prostrate themselves to Allah. The other people, they will not be خاشعة أبصارهم ترهقهم ذلة. Their eyes will be humble, will be humiliated. ترهقهم ذلة. They will be, in their faces, you will see this humiliation clear in their face. وقد كانوا يدعون إلى السجود. They used to be called to make sujood in life while healthy, but they didn't do it. فذرني ومن يكذب بهذا الحديث. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing them, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, don't worry much about those who oppose you. Leave me alone with them. فذرني ومن يكذب بهذا الحديث. Leave me alone with those who deny this hadith, this revelation and this talk. سنستدرجهم. They will keep doing that until we will draw them near, or we will make a trick on them. You know, when many people think we are giving everything, giving life. No, there is no God. So this is istidraj, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is drawing them near, meaning like Allah is setting a trick for them because they decided to go very far, even though the fact is so clear. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make them think they are right. They will do things and they will, you know, as Allah said in the ayah, أَيَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّمَا نُمِدُّهُم بِهِ مِن مَالٍ وَبَنِينَ. Do they think that what we give them of money and children, نسارع لهم في الخيرات, do you think they think that we are giving them goodness, good things? بل لا يشعرون. Nay, they do not really feel how it is like. It's a test from Allah. وأملي لهم, and I will delay them. It's not, doesn't work with Allah like somebody does something bad, He will punish him. It doesn't work like that. No, Allah will delay him. Stay year, 2, 10 years, ruling, enjoying, doing everything. No, there is a delay. There is no quick punishment. Inna kaydi mateen. My kaid, my plotting or my plan is mateen. My plan is not penetratable. It's not, you know, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a plan, you know, it's made very wisely made. In the hadith, the Sahihain, the Prophet ﷺ said, indeed Allah will delay a wrongdoing person, somebody who's an oppressor or somebody who's doing wrong, Allah might give them delay. حتى إذا أخذه, but once He seizes him, there's no way out. There's no way out. أم تسألهم أجرا, or maybe because you are asking them a price for that to pay you or something, and now the payment is too much for them that they are refraining from that. Allah is mocking them again. Is it He doesn't ask you anything? Why you refrain? He bringing good news for you, promises from God to you. He's not asking you anything. Is it because He is asked? Could be because He is asking you much and you are incapable of giving Him. You know, His payment is too high. No, it's not the case. أَمْ عِنْدَهُمُ الْغَيْبُ فَهُمْ يَكْتُبُونَ, or maybe they have the knowledge of the unseen. They quote directly from Al-Ghaib, from the book of the unseen. They know it, and they are telling you all of these things. You are bad. You are right. You are wrong. We are right now. فَاصْبِرْ لِحُكْمِ رَبِّكَ. Allah Azza wa Jalla gave the Prophet ﷺ the right advice by saying, فَاصْبِرْ, be patient. لِحُكْمِ رَبِّكَ, until the judgment of your Lord comes. وَلَا تَكُنْ كَصَاحِبِ الْحُوتِ. Do not be like the person, the man of the whale, Sayyidina Yunus, Prophet Yunus. إِذْ نَادَى وَهُوَ مَكْذُومٌ. Jonah, when he called on us, on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while he was makdhoom, he was full of you know, he was so sad and so angry. When he called on Allah in the belly of the whale. So the example here is, Ya Muhammad, don't be like him. What happened with Sayyidina Yunus alayhi salam, he kept calling on his people, not many people accepted him. He just decided to quit that, to leave without permission from Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, be patient with them. Yes, they oppose you, be patient. Things will get different, will become different, and do not be like the man of the whale. إِذْ نَادَى وَهُوَ مَكْذُومٌ. Do you see translation there? Yeah, what is the translation of 48?
So we have patience for the decision of your Lord, and be not continuing in
Yeah, so he called on Allah when he was deep in sorrow. He was sorrow because he didn't follow what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants, and he got swallowed by the whale, and now he regretted and he repented to Allah and he called on Allah, La ilaha illa ant. What is the surah number? Surah number. No, 60, 68. 68, surah number 68, and the verse is 48. So he called on Allah, no God but you, subhanak, glorified are you, inni kuntu min al-zalimin, indeed I did wrong. فاستجبنا له. Right after that Allah said, we responded, we responded to him and we accepted his dua, وَنَجَّيْنَاهُ, and we rescued him from al-gham, from that sorrow, وَكَذَلِكَ نُنْجِي الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, and such we rescue the believers. He said in another ayah, Surah Al-Saffat, فلولا أنه كان من المسبحين, had it not been for him being from al-musabbihin, for those who remember Allah, make tasbih, say subhanallah, للبث في بطنه إلى يوم يبعثون, he would have stayed in the belly of this whale until the day of resurrection. فاجتباه ربه فجعله من الصالحين. And then what happened is he repented. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala later on, it was not like I'm not saying that so you take him as a bad example. No. Just reflect on what happened to him, because later on, اجتباه ربه, his Lord chosen him and he made him of the righteous. How does it translate there? Yeah, so he made a mistake, he repented, Allah chose him, and he went back to his people, and they accepted him, and he becomes, 100,000 people accepted his da'wah after that, and the story ended up like happy. لولا أن تداركه نعمة من ربه لنبذ بالعراء وهو مذموم. 49. Go ahead.
Had not the praise of his revelation and his indeed happened. So he was cast out of the natural.
So had it not been for the ni'mah, the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reaching him, he would have been left, out, madhmoom, وهو madhmoom, being like dispraised. Then وَإِنْ يَكَادُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَيُزْلِقُونَكَ بِأَبْصَارِهِمْ لَمَّا سَمِعُوا الذِّكْرَ وَيَقُولُونَ إِنَّهُ لَمَجْنُونَ. Verse number 51.
And verily those who disbelieve will almost be sick with their eyes.
They will look at you with their eyes. What's meant by that? They will envy you. يُزْلِقُونَكَ, they will envy you. They will give you that evil eye in there. لَمَّا سَمِعُوا الذِّكْرَ, and they hear the reminder. وَيَقُولُونَ إِنَّهُ لَمَجْنُونَ, and what they do is they hurt you by their eyes, and they hurt you by the tongue by saying you are crazy, you are majnoon, you are a mad person. Talking about envy, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so we read it in the Quran, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam also said in the hadith, إِنَّ الْعَيْنَ حَقٍّ, indeed the eye, the evil eye, is true, it happens. And he used to recite those prayers of protection to his grandchildren. أُعِيذُكُمَا بِكَلِمَاتِ اللَّهِ التَّامَّةِ, I seek refuge, or I seek refuge with Allah for both of you in the kalimatillah, in the words, in the complete words of Allah, from min kulli shaytanin wa hamma, from every devil and every hamma, any animal or anything, wa min kulli aynin lamma, and from any evil eye that could affect. So it's there also that the Prophet ﷺ used to recite this, which is the same prayer he used to say. This is the prayer that Ibrahim alayhi salam, Prophet Ibrahim, used to use or recite when on his both children Ishaq and Ismail alayhim salam. So this is specifically for children. أعيذك or أعيذك for a girl, or أعيذكما if they are both, or أعيذكم group of people, بكلمات الله التامة من كل شيطان وهامة ومن كل عين لامة. And the Prophet ﷺ used to ask protection from jinn, from the evil eye of humans. That was before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed al-mu'awwidhatan, which is قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ and قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ, the last two surahs, chapters in the Quran. But when Allah revealed those last two chapters, which the meaning is very strong in there, it's all about protection, seeking protection from all kinds of things. When those were revealed, then Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam used them only. Now, And a story happened in the time of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam where they were traveling and one man took off his clothes like to take shower. Obviously, he had something to cover his private parts. But when another person, Sahabi, saw this man, saw his body and so on, he said in the hadith, "How white is your skin? It's beautiful," and this and that. And before the man finishes his shower, he was not able to move. He got really affected by that and he had a problem and he got sick and then they were talking to the Prophet ﷺ. They said something wrong happened to our friend, could you come and see him? And then he said, what do you think has happened? He said he was good, but when this person passed by, that's what happened. Then the Nabi ﷺ called this man and he said, why one of you would just kill his brother like that? When you see something that you like, barakta, you just ask for barakah or ask for blessing or say masha'Allah or something that will give the protection against anything. It's something that works, even though science does not recognize it. Like science would not recognize love. Love does not, up until now at least, it's not known to how do you measure it. When somebody here is loving, somebody here is not loving. This person, this is his mother, and another, and his friend. How much love does every one of them give towards this? How can we measure it? You cannot measure it. There's no way to measure it. Same is that there's some powers in there we don't know about them. Where science cannot measure them, but they are there somehow. They work even against your own, with your own stuff. If you see your own property or your own thing and you like it very much without saying mashallah or any form of protection, you might have given that kind of evil eye that might work. And then what the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, I'm not sure if you heard about this before, he asked this person to make wudu, to wash his, make like form of wudu or something, wash certain part of his body. This is the person who gave the evil eye. And then he got this water and gave it to the other person, and he asked him to wash himself with. And once he did that, he was like good again. And that's something that you might want to do if you know the person who did it as one of the solutions. وَيَقُولُونَ إِنَّهُ لَمَجْنُونَ, and they said he is majnoon. So they try, that was like a business known. It was known amongst Arabs. They used to hire people who were really known for having like evil eyes. So they go to give them money. So they tried everything with the Prophet to give him an evil eye, to bring some stuff. And this is not related to the Prophet ﷺ, but it was just to give you an example. It was known to Arabs back then. So one day a person wanted to hire a person who got this power and evil eye to make it against one of his friends or something. And then he said, just show me this friend and I will make it for you. And he gave him money. He brought him and he said, you know what, where is that person? He said, he's coming there, far away he's coming. He said, oh my God, you see up to there, all the way to there? Then this man got a problem with his eye. So he was trying to show him his friend far away, and then this person said, oh, you can see him that far? And he gave him that far, it came to him. ترى يعني بعيد فانقلب السحر على الساحر. So those people were trying to make everything to harm the Prophet ﷺ with their eyes, with their tongues. And Allah said, وَمَا هُوَ إِلَّا ذِكْرٌ لِلْعَالَمِينَ. It is nothing but a remembrance or reminder for al-alamin, for the world, which is Quran, is for the world. Prophet ﷺ is for everybody, for al-alamin as well. And here the surah ends, inshallah. So if you have any questions or anything, inshallah, go ahead.